or Alphabet's days as a member of the Magnificent Seven numbered. Whether it's failed presentations, fake presentations, Gemini making up history as it goes, and the worst of them all, basically letting another company, in this case OpenAI's ChatGPT, backed by Microsoft, come out with what could be the next "could you Google this for me?" in this case, ChatGPT. Now, I've talked about the fact that Wall Street does not respect the kind of company Alphabet actually is, the kind of business Alphabet actually is today, the kinds that generate billions and billions of dollars in revenue and in profits. For example, I've compared it here to Microsoft and to Meta, so you get a bit of both sides. And here again, it is pretty clear that currently on a forward PE, price to free cash flow, that's in the last 12 months, and then price earnings to growth, so the PEG ratio, you can clearly see here that on all metrics, Alphabet is by far the cheapest. By far. Meta, even with its exceptional growth as a stock, is still relatively cheap. But here you can clearly see that the market is still on the fence when it comes to Alphabet. It is not normal that a company like that trades at a forward PE of 21.4 times, price to free cash flow 25.9 times, and then a PEG ratio of 1.52. So why is that? How come all the rest, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, Apple, although Apple had a not such a great start of 2024, and then there is Tesla as well, but the majority of those big companies have all had quite a good start of 2024 and even quite a good 2023. But Google, Alphabet does not get the same love. Is it purely because of ChatGPT and Microsoft, or is there something else to the story? Because remember, 75% of its revenue and almost all of its profits come from Google advertising, which we can see right here. Last quarter, Google advertising, $65.5 billion. Then if you add Google subscription platforms and devices, you get the total here, Google services, $76.31 billion. But then if you look at operating income, total income from operations, $23.69 billion. Google services, $26.73 billion. So yes, this is quite an important part of their business. And so you might say that the market does not know what might happen in the future, does not know if Google can stay the dominant player in search, because it doesn't take a lot of market share percentages for Google to lose billions and billions of dollars in profits. Because if you look at this picture right here, over the past decade, Google's search revenue have surged around 5x. That's a 17% CAGR, primarily driven by a 13% CAGR in revenue per search result page, rather than just a around 4% CAGR in the number of search results pages displayed. And now you might say, okay, that's great, but what happens next? What happens in the future now that we've got ChatGPTs, Gemini, AI agents, etc., etc.? What happens next? Can Google stay the dominant player? That's what I want to discuss in this video. Of course, do share your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not. If you want to support me even further, do check out the link down in the description and in the pinned comment to get the top 10 best stocks to buy now, or go to fool.com/couchinvestor. Thank you very much. So going back to my main point, right, with the rise of AI agents, ChatGPTs, Perplexity, Gemini, etc., etc. What's going to happen next? How is growth going to look like for Google's core business in the next coming years? Is Google going to cannibalize their own gold mine? Is this why Gemini has been delayed for so long? Is this why they didn't come out first with Bard and let Microsoft OpenAI play with Bing and ChatGPT? Maybe. This is the ultimate innovator's dilemma. For those of you that don't know what an innovator's dilemma is, basically a person that has innovated, that has come out with great solutions and products, very, very successful, but has reached a point to where he asks himself, do I stay in my sweet spot right now, where my previous inventions are now so successful, or do I keep innovating and basically cancel out everything I did in the past? It's basically Google right now. Now, in my opinion, I think they have no choice, which is why we're seeing all those updates with regards to Gemini, BART, Gemini 1.5, etc., in order to compete with the likes of OpenAI's ChatGPT, Bing, Perplexity, etc. Now, the main problem here is that that model is completely different to the one they've been using for decades now and the one that is generating billions and billions of dollars in revenue. If you look at this picture right here, search, informational search, is a money-making machine. LLM-based search is not, or at least not yet. The cost to serve, yes, is coming down, but right now you can clearly see here on that picture that, well, there is a huge difference. Now, of course, I'd like to say that you use Google search and ChatGPT for completely different things. Right now, at least that's the case. That's my experience, the experience with the people that I've talked with. Yes, I've known a lot of people that are still using search and have also been using ChatGPT for work-related stuff, coding, etc. By the way, it is very nice that you ask a question and you get an answer. You don't have to click through all the links or search for relevant information, not go through advertising, stuff like that. That's great. On the flip side, I don't like the fact that ChatGPT sometimes, and Gemini, is just so comfortable in telling a lie. Sometimes it makes up facts, but you as a user might not know that the answer that you're getting is complete BS. It's pretty dangerous if you ask me, because now when you go on search, if you don't like what you see, there are other options out there, there are other links you can click, and so on and so forth. With a thing like ChatGPT, you ask a question, you get an answer, and that's it. Of course, you can continue the conversation and say, no, you're wrong, I want this. But we're getting here into a tricky situation, which, by the way, we've just gotten with Gemini, right? You ask it to generate a certain picture of a historical fact, and suddenly it changes the fact to make sure that the modern audiences would not be offended. Doesn't make any sense. Anyways, let's look at the flip side of things. Google, right now, Google search still dominates searches. Whether it's on desktop or on mobile, Google is still by far the most dominant player. Now, if we look at these two pictures here, which basically shows us that smartphone sales have peaked a while back, and so did desktop and laptop. Now, the good thing here is that despite smartphone, desktop, laptop, all of those sales have peaked years ago. Despite all of that, Google kept generating more revenue and more profits. Now, you might say, yeah, that's because Google used some monopoly tactic, etc. Could be, it's probably one of the factors as well. But remember, throughout the years, every year, more and more digital companies woke up. More and more companies started to advertise on the internet. And I'll add another thing. Google, Alphabet, they own the two largest and the most successful search engines on the planet, Google and YouTube. Now imagine in the coming years, all the advertising dollars, all the advertising budgets that are still stuck in linear TV that are still going to flow to connected TV. YouTube is definitely going to gain from that. Not just from advertising, from subscriptions, from events, sports events, shopping, etc. So you can say that maybe they're going to take a hit from one side, but they're going to compensate it by generating more money on the other side. Could very well be. And then think about what happens next. We just talked about hardware. What happens next? Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Meta, has talked about the next generation of devices, AI-driven devices. Meta is already working on VR, AR glasses, the AR glasses in partnership with Ray-Ban. Very cool product, by the way, extremely useful. Now, remember what happened 10 years ago. You remember this device right here? Google Glass? Google Glass is basically what Meta Ray-Ban glasses are today. They just were way too early. Now, moving forward, if we say that AI-driven devices are the next thing, probably Apple is going to come out with their own thing, maybe just a phone with AI capabilities on it, probably going to happen the next 12 to 18 months. Every smartphone on the market will be an AI smartphone. Google Pixel, by the way, is already one, working quite well. Or another thing, Android, the operating system, is also owned by Google. So let's say on the one side, maybe Google comes out with a new generation of Google Glass, even though there were some reports that they have already killed that project, Project Iris, another project for the Google graveyard, could be. But on the flip side, Google could just license their tech, their software, to companies that are willing to make hardware, that are willing to make AR glasses. Could very well be. But going back to the advertising part of things, right? Because that's still the main bread and butter of that business. So far, I have seen zero indication that they're losing. I've seen zero indication that ChatGPT, Bing, or any other player out there is taking such a great percentage of the market that Google dominates, and so the end is near. No, actually, ChatGPT came out over a year ago, and I still don't see how that has hurt Google's dominance. I think it barely made a dent. Now, could things change in the future? 100%, 100%. But until then, Google will still generate billions and billions of dollars each and every quarter. And by the way, if suddenly it does take a hit, trust me, we're going to see that in the numbers already quite early on. But until then, I don't really see a reason why this stock is worthy of being so disrespected right now. Could leadership be a bit better? 100%. I made a comment on X saying either Sundar does not have control of the company, a bit like Jack Dorsey at Twitter, or Sundar just doesn't care about what has been happening at Google/Alphabet, also a bit like Jack Dorsey. Maybe a change in CEO, maybe bring back Larry and Sergey, that could change some things. Could very well be. But so far, this is a company that has billions and billions of dollars in cash, ready to be invested, ready to acquire other companies, you name it. Right now, I see no reason why people should think that, well, it's over for them, they're in danger, they're going to fall off a cliff. I think they own the cliff and they own what's beneath it as well. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.